Greeting, Dragon Riders, and welcome back to Fat Dragon Adventure. I'm Heavy J, and today I'm going to talk about an exciting homebrew monster build that I've come up just for you. We're going to dive into the world of Magic the Gathering and explore how to incorporate the colossal and awe-inspiring Worldspine Wurm into your next Dungeons & Dragons campaign. This epic boss encounter is sure to leave your players on the edge of their seats. So let's get started today on Fat Dragon Adventure. The Worldspine Wurm is no ordinary monster. It's a unique entry from Magic the Gathering. It's a legendary creature card from the set Return of Ravnica. Now, while Magic the Gathering doesn't have extensive lore for each individual card, especially those from expansion sets, it's part of a broader narrative of the city plane of Ravnica. While the card's flavored text doesn't provide detail on its backstory, it suggests that the worm was once a significant threat and was an opportunity for a challenging hunt, symbolizing the desire to embrace chaos and destruction. In the broader context of magic lore, the worm is the embodiment of wild, uncontrolled, and untamed aspects of the Ravnica's environment. Now, when it comes to colossal creatures in MTG world, green cards reign supreme for sure. For a relatively modest investment of 11 mana, the Worldspine Wurm strides onto the battlefield with an imposing 15/15 size and the ability to travel over any obstacle. What's more, when this mighty behemoth meets its end, it leaves behind a legacy in the form of 3 5/5 worm tokens, each possessing the power of trample. This ensures that you won't be left empty-handed even if your adversary succeeds in vanquishing the Worldspine Wurm. So building off that, how do we set the stage in Dungeons & Dragons? Well, that's what I'm going to get into mostly in this video. First, integrate the worm into your campaign storyline. I think this is important. I do this by asking some simple questions. I like to ask things about, like, for example, is it guarding a hidden treasure? Or is it a manifestation of nature's wrath in some way? Or is it perhaps a threat from another plane of existence? Any of this stuff will work. Next, it's important to foreshadow the encounter. Drop hints and clues to build up the anticipation. This could be done through your NPCs, it could be done through rumors, or even ancient scrolls that have been found. Now let's prepare the Worldspine Wurm for its grand entrance. I put this creature's stat blocks in the doobly-doo down below for you so you can reference it. Feel free to adjust it according to your player's levels and preferences, of course. As you can see, the worm has incredible abilities, including the ability to regenerate, mutability, has magic resistance. I think these things make it an extraordinary challenge for your players. Since the Worldspine Wurm regains 20 hit points at the start of each turn, the PCs will really have to pour on that damage each round to negate the effects of its regeneration. Also, the Worldspine Wurm is immune to any spells or effects that would alter its form. I'm thinking spells like Polymorph, True Polymorph, Animal Shape. All these will fail to work. And finally, because this creature's magical resistance, the Worldspine Wurm will have advantage on saving throws against spells and other magic effects, which is going to really make it difficult to cast spells effectively against. So when creating an encounter for this creature, it is important to design a location that will be really engaging. For example, I would put the worm in a location like a dense forest or a rocky canyon, or perhaps some sort of mystical plane of existence would be fun too. And then while you're at it, you should also consider the environmental hazards and features that would make this battle really dynamic. I think if it was up to me, I put things in like panicked wildlife. Certainly, the presence of this worm would stir up the nearby wildlife, causing the animals to either flee in panic or join in the worm in some way in fighting the characters. Or you could think about throwing in things like elemental rifts. Magic from the world's spine's worm's presence will surely create rifts in reality that would periodically spawn elemental creatures or cause some sort of random magical effect in the area that would impede the player characters. While you're trying to avoid here is a surround and pound situation. You don't want the players just to gang up and focus all their attention on just this creature. Make the player characters deal with other things other than the Worldspine Wurm also. So create things that will divide their intentions or their attention, in other words. That's really what you're trying to do when you're trying to avoid a surround and pound situation. So foreshadowing is crucial. NPCs, books, and rumors can all hint at the presence of this creature. Consider adding knowledgeable NPCs who can provide valuable information. I think this would lead to roleplay, and roleplay adds a depth to the encounter. Interactions with NPCs who have insight into the creature's origin or motivations can be the highlight of your campaign, even. The Worldspire worm may have a motivation that the NPC may have insight into. Something like, I don't know, the creature could be seeking revenge for past actions committed by either the PCs or the allies of the PCs. Things like defiling a sacred site, harming offspring, violating some prior agreement that they might have had with a mage. Those are just a couple things that I can think of. Or the Worldspine worm is driven by a constant hunger and attacks to feed on magical energy or the essence of other creatures. It could even see the party as a potential food source. Really, the key here is your imagination is the limit. Now let's talk a little about rewards and consequences. I always like to think about those things when I build an encounter. What's the loot for a victorious party look like? Maybe it could be things like unique spells, powerful magic items, or opportunities to shape the campaign in some sort of future way somehow. And of course, I like to think about the consequences. What happens if the party defeats or fails to defeat the worm? What if they anger it without engaging in combat? Consequences can lead to some intriguing plot twist down the road. So let's explore that a little bit. The worm's presence may be a natural balance keeper. Its death or anger could lead to an environmental catastrophe, for example. The land may wither, there might be floods or other natural disasters that could ensue, forcing the party to find a way to restore balance somehow. Or the worm could be acting as a deterrent against a more menacing force that's unknown. Its defeat or anger might release this force, unleashing a new and even more dangerous threat that the party must face now. Really, the sky's the limit here when considering the consequences in defeating or not defeating this creature. I think that's the point here. Got to think these things through. Now let's consider pacing. Know when to use the worm's legendary actions to keep the battle intense and engaging. The worm has a lot of different legendary actions that it can use. The worm could use its tail slap as a legendary action immediately after the player character's turn. This would create a sense of unpredictability, and this can also be used to discourage the players from clustering or focusing too much on that creature. Remember, again, we're trying to avoid a surround and pound situation. The worm could also activate its frightful presence as a legendary action at the start of the round. This would force the characters to make wisdom saving throws, and then the party would have to deal with the fear effects before they can strategize effectively against this creature. And then we also could set up some sort of combo. I'm thinking that maybe a tail slap and a swallow combo would be really devastating. The worm can use its tail slap legendary action to knock a character prone, and then follow that right up with a swallow action, potentially engulfing a prone character. This forces the party to consider tactics like aiding their swallowed comrade while dealing with the prone condition. So that's something to consider. Just remember that legendary actions can be a real game changer when they're used correctly, or when you think of some original or very creative combos that can be used with their action and their legendary action. And there you have it, Dragon Ridings. Incorporating the Worldspine Wurm into your D&D campaign can be a truly epic experience. Remember, the world of Magic the Gathering is a treasure trove of inspiration for your Dungeons & Dragons adventures. At least I think so anyway. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on all things Dungeons & Dragons. Have you used other homebrew creations in your campaigns? Share your experiences and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I really would. As always, ride that fat dragon. See you next time.